Hello. It's Pixie. I'll probably stick some pictures at the end of this video. Probably better to show stuff I'm talking about. I did try to have a video earlier, it went wrong. It's a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest. And I should flip that over. There we go. Yeah, it went wrong. Basically, I couldn't hear myself speaking. It was a right pain in the arse. There is actually something online that can amplify your sound, but it's a lot of messing around. It'd probably be better just re-recorded it. Generally. Okay. Because, yeah, basically I'd amplified it by 50 decibels, and then I had all this white noise to deal with. So I'd have to remove the white noise. I mean, there is the stuff online to do that. Well, there's something called audibles or something, or actually, I'm trying to think of it. Yeah. Yeah. So what you do with the video is you take you turn the sound part of your video file. You would convert that into an MP3, and then you would put it through this program, which would clear it up. It just seems like a lot going on, really. And then you just re-stick that back in your video. However, once, you know, if you can't pick up your sound properly and you've amplified it, it still might sound like not really as clear as I'd want. Okay, moving into the video. That's what I want to talk about, things that are going on. I've recently spent about £50 on these plants, these like medicinal plants and stuff like that. So I've got I've got an African dream root. There's a dream vine I've got something called cat is probably a short name for it. It's like Arabic type bush or something that would chomp on. And I've got a wild lettuce. So I've got some wild lettuce seeds. I've got blue lotus, lilies. Well, yeah. So that'd be a quite interesting thing to grow. To grow the lilies, all you need to do, find where I am gear-wise, that's better. Yeah, to grow the blue lotus lilies, you basically in a pot you can put earth, then you put sand on top of the earth, and well, you can soak them if they were bigger seeds, but these seeds are microscopic. They're like little specks of dirt. And so I put them in a bowl to see if they would sort of germinate, and so basically what I'm going to do is I just can't be bothered to wait that long. I'm going to just sort out the pot, put it into a bucket, because the plant needs to be submerged. It doesn't have to be submerged by a lot. It says about like 20%. So if you go with pot, all that part of it's wet. The lilies will pop out, the plants will pop out. They can either float on the surface or they just come out the side of the bucket or whatever you got. And there was another interesting thing as well that I come across, I don't know if it's true, that it's something that can grow cannabis underwater. But you have to have loads of goldfish. However, I didn't see actually them doing it, so I can't believe them. I did grow a little plant that died because I basically gave it too much water, but now I'm sort of clued up how much water a plant like that needs to grow, and I'll show you other pictures of The ones I got in the bottles are quite good actually, they're just starting. But the other one, it's too damp, the soil, and I killed it. And so I stuck it in a glass and I used electrolysis on it. I put some copper wires and electrocuted it and all sorts of things. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of energy coming off this coil. I use a metal coil and I put that in the water, but I could feel, I had some magnets in my hand, I put it near it and I could feel that they had a magnetic field around the water, so it's really pretty cool. Okay, well, might as well add this as a little segment. So, got my, that's what I mentioned about calf, I do this. Yeah, that's fine. So that's what I've put some in there. Got some blue lotus. Wild lettuce. See, they're quite small. Oh, this is interesting. This I can turn into a vine. I read always said African dream herb, which you can't really see on the camera. Yeah, African dream root. Hawaiian baby wood rose. See, these are vines as well. They're also really powerful. If somebody had all them, they'd be well out of it. It'll take you a day to recover. Yeah, so I've got 2 of them. So I started growing them. So that's I just need to label them basically. That's my aloe vera. And this is it's a cannabis plant actually. It's growing in a bottle. The root structure is really interesting, the way it's gone down. You see little fibres as well. That's why it gets injured. The soil and texture is just moist. It's not damp. Basically, I just mixed it in a bowl and got the sort of right mix, and also got enough air into the soil as well, so it's not all compacted. And that's what's allowed the root to shoot right down. You can see there's a structure which shows you where it coiled a bit. It might not. Before shooting up, no, he's just going for it. So I've got another one doing that, just as a kind of experiment. They grow really long. That's why before I put a coil, if you overwater them, they're going to just fold over. And because of these long necks, they've pretty much had it once they fold over. So what I might do is chuck the half-dead cannabis plant. I'll chuck it in the pot as well, so then the lily can. So I think there's a kind of interaction between DNA. If you have a live DNA enters your body, then your DNA will interact with that DNA at some level. It's like quantum entanglement. The 2 living things in each other's space, basically. And then your body learns from it. You know, it's like the human body. When you eat food, it has to understand what the food is and how to break it down and how to transmute its genetic material and use that in its own body to regenerate. You know, it's way beyond our scientists what they really know. So anyway, go back to the blue lotus. I'm going to just like I say, once it's slightly submerged and the sand is wet, and it's probably like a centimetre of water over the top of the bowl, of the pot, I should say, and then I just pop the seeds into the sand. I could use, if I did germinate them, because of the size of them, I do have a syringe that I got from resin setting, because I sometimes like to set resin and make models and orgone and all that stuff. So I was going to use that to suck up the seeds in the bowl, because they're so small you wouldn't want to sort of damage them with your hand, and then inject them into the sand, and that way they would be inside there, and then they'll just naturally grow. The main trick, I think, is the water is it's to be warm. I double check the temperature of the water, but it will trigger it. The seeds, if they're in a warm water, then they kind of like, oh, it's warm water, let's go for it. If it's cold, then they're just going to be like dormant and stay in a sort of isolated dormant state, basically. So in my packet, I've got about 20 seeds, but they're microscopic, and I don't even know, well, virtually, and I don't even know if they're real, to be honest. I was trying to look up seeds for lilies, and they're just like massive ones they had. They're not there. And it's very interesting. What I'm doing, I'm looking at sacred plants, and I'm looking at things that are associated with the artwork to do with religious figures like Shiva and like Buddha. You've got them. They've both got lily associations, and in the artwork you might have two lilies in the hand. So is it telling the two lily flowers equals nirvana? And for Christ, he had one big mushroom. I have to see what else he had in this picture as well. So I think he was on the magic mushroom, and that's probably how he focused in his abilities. So just basically unlocking himself, because he's maybe needs to trigger his third eye or something. I don't know. It's a bit controversial, but there's at one level and not in another, because there's more to reality than what people believe. You have to find your own truth. That's the truth of it. And I wonder what Muhammad might be into. So did he like chewing this like cat stuff they call it, calf, or it's called something. But I was looking up online, they refer to it as cat. That's when we're going to get rid of euphoria. I know there were some things he wouldn't do alcohol and stuff like that, or he'd have a special set diet. But was that his own choice, or is that was that what his information he got from Gabriel? He did it in a cave as well, so he did it out of sight. He got his information according to what I read in religious books. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I've got a lot of medicinal plants. So the lilies would be really interesting. Wait 6 months and then you get a giant lily flower. If I put all of them, I think with one bowl I put about 10 and then see what pops up, because they should be per seed per pad, basically. That's the theory. And then I've also got a wild lettuce, which has pain-killing qualities. Got to be careful, you can overdose. So if I ate the whole lettuce, and it's interesting, all lettuces have these qualities, a bit like hemp seeds. I mean, it's just the strength of the chemicals in them. They all got them. It's like poppies. You have poppy seeds on the loaf. Someone said if you eat enough poppy seeds, you basically will affect you. And that's true, because the chemicals are in there, they're just at different levels. Say for certain cactuses, mescaline, got these different properties. So I've created a little nursery inside my flat. It's a bit bonkers. There we go. Just go down here. So I've created a little greenhouse inside my flat. So I needed a frame. I needed some things. I actually went out looking for seed trays, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I don't know if it's like the wrong season for it. They're selling plants, but selling in massive pots and seeds. That's all they're selling. They won't sell anything in between. Maybe because they're nickable. Maybe people would go around nicking plastic plant pots, but I can't really see it as a high black market. I might be tempted. So it's gonna be, it's really cool. Actually, cool stuff. And like the lotus stuff, you can put it in your wine, and it's gonna taste quite bitter. Probably some other stuff. I'm gonna put it into ormus. I do my ormus, don't I? So I've got some Hawaiian baby wood rose. So I might have some vines, but I've got a secret project, and that is I call it Project Green Man, and I'll be growing plants, and I might actually transport them into the wild, if you see what I mean. Because a big vine, I might just have it, like pretty much trying to go down to car park here. We've got like poison ivy, but I could easily shove a different plant in there, you know. Nobody would know what it is, and I just harvest it at a later date, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, this is Pixie signing off, and speak to you soon. This one I basically killed it because I gave too much water. I didn't give it that much water, but I just I was trying to revive it. Yeah, so I did some experiments. I did electrocute it as well. But this coil seems to create a lot of energy. Actually, it's quite. So I'm going to add it into the mixture with my blue lotus lilies. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, this is Pixie signing off, and speak to you soon. Good morning. This is Pixie. And I've started a project to grow some different shamanic plants. Maybe that's the best, or maybe got medicinal. So I spent about £50, and that's getting the stuff shipped over as well. So I went on the site, looked at a load of cool plants, and I thought, you know what, just go buy them. So that's what I did. I just gone off and bought them. So just wire the cash and buy the plants. Simple. Cool. That's interesting. Someone's swerving at me. Yeah, so I spent £50 on plants. I've got Caffe edulis is one of the plants. It's also called cat. They chew it in Arabic type countries. Might be in Africa as well, and it's meant to be very cause of euphoria and all sorts of things. So I've started that process. I have got a African dream root. Supposedly the flowers open at night. I did have a brilliant experience when I was in South Africa. There's a lovely like jasmine smell, and that was. Well, it was winter in the UK at the time, so it must have been sort of summer. Then, well, it's all over Africa actually. I know it's just in Africa full stop. Yeah, so it smelled of jasmine. It's really relaxing, the smell. I could never trace the actual plant. So it may be that basically this might be the plant I was smelling, and also the flowers open at night. You just get a sweet smell going on. I'm just going to get blinded. Intensity of the sun now, it's awesome. So it seems to get more powerful time. Especially recently, getting up in the morning, the sun's absolutely killer. Killer when you're driving anyway, driving to the sun, you get blasted with the light. I don't mind the sun, don't mind having a little look at the little solar gaze, but you can get quite a bit of glare coming from it. So that's one of the other plants is the African root. I've got an African. I can't remember what the actual thing's called. It's a vine, to be honest. It's dream bean. That's right. Bonkers plant. Because it's what come through was it's the size of a conker, but it's flatter than that. It's quite elliptical in its shape. Nice smooth sides to it, and yeah, basically these things float around in the ocean for decades, but it's only when they get damaged and they get up wash up on shore, they start growing, and they're vines, so be interesting. It's going to fall into also line with the Green Man project that I'm thinking about doing. Basically, I'll be trying to increase the biodiversity in some places. Well, they've just got like brambles and poison ivy. You know, put something like that in there, or a tree, wrap it around it. And also, it produces massive bean pods, like Jack and the Bean Stalk type things. Really big. There'll be a 4-foot bean pod, or bigger than that, depending on the location and also the sort of the soil and all sorts of things, other factors. But that would be quite an impressive thing. The actual beans are used as kind of charms. They can also be eaten and they give you lucid dreams. You just take the pulp out, you have to drill into the thing, smash it with a hammer or something. Let's have a look. Sound too well, doesn't it? So it's that's one of the other plants. The other plant we've got is called wild lettuce. Now, I didn't know much about lettuce plants, but they actually, you'll see me in my life weight. Sun's even bigger. Mad! It must just open up and suck up the car. It's really huge. It's bigger than the moon. You got to wonder what the actual sun is. They talk a load of rubbish sometimes. I'm slipping to and fro in this chat. Yeah, I heard that basically said it's the sun's 99% of the mass of our solar system, but 0.9, which is also reversed, is 666. So it doesn't surprise me. That's just a number that was created or pulled out of a hat. Other plants, so anyway, yes, so we've got the wild lettuce, and the wild lettuce, so there's different varieties, I mean, for lettuce anyway, and they do actually have kind of different properties in the lettuce, just general lettuces, you know, basically most of the things that are commercialised on the shelves are just weak versions of the more wild native ones that are out there, and they still contain all the properties, the same like, you know, like with poppy seeds, they stick on bread. If you had enough poppy seeds, then basically you're getting all the effects of opium, but people don't think we'd want to eat them. Probably a kilogram of, or more of blooming poppy seeds. You'd have to be pretty bit bonkers or desperate, basically. And I think then you kind of misinterpret what a medicine plant is, and yeah, don't want to get blinded, so we're just switching from focus on driving and then communicate with you guys at the same time. So the lettuces, there's different. There's a sativa lettuce, and there's the apple. And there's one. Basically, there's two types that do have qualities about them that would give sort of psychedelic effects. The one I've got, wild one, is something else as well, different. It's something viritus lettuce or something. There's these words that they kind of pop up, don't they? And so it could actually, it's a natural act as ibuprofen. Or sometimes it's called opium lettuce and all sorts of things. It's a very powerful painkiller. It's possible to overdose. I don't know, eat like 2 lettuces or something in a go, or whatever. You can have a bit too much of the stuff. You can need like a few leaves. I'd do a bit more research as I got it, you know. I'd just try like 1 leaf and then find out what that's like, and then try another one. So that should be interesting experiment. I've got some Hawaiian baby wood rose. I'm gonna grow one. I'm gonna try one as well. I'm not gonna go too mad on it. I mean, basically, if you take something quite strong, watch the traffic. Yeah, that's better. So I've got the Hawaiian baby wood rose, another vine. It's basically LSD. Basically, if you mash up the seeds and everything, that's what's going to have the effect of. So it might have the lysergic acid or something in it. Has it on the seeds. Normally, they soak them, and then afterwards they grind them, and then you put it with the soap water, and they have that. I read about somebody who took. I watched a video. He took about 10 of them, and he was out of it for like over 10 hours. He was just having quite a deep spiritual experience. He was floating out of space or something. So it's in his bedroom in space. I mean, they do warn about things. It could trigger something else, like mental health stuff. It does change brain chemistry. That's why you take a low dosage, see how you respond, because your body wants to learn. You're teaching it to understand things. When you add something new, it's never come in contact with it. We'll have a reaction and learn from it. And already kind of spiritual, so I'm not trying to get deeper. So, well, I think, yeah, I'll probably get more deeper. I'm just sort of having a deeper appreciation of it. And I think nature's drawing me in as well. So yeah, I'm slowly pulled into that doing those cars all over the place. So I'm going to grind up the seed and try out, and then, like I say, I'm going to do more at some other time, just as a pretty spiritual. I'm going to prepare the mind and body for it, like Da Vinci Gong meditation, and it's really just to see what it's like. If I don't like it, then on a low dosage, sometimes getting the dosage right with different things. I mean, I want to sort of experience it's really an altered perception, but just kind of expand that mind without losing it, you know. So that's kind of, it's a bit like I love coffee. Or might get some wild coffee, and that's got some other qualities about it. That'd be quite nice to add it to other coffee, so you just grind it up and make some nice mix. And I was planning to grow that. I was going to start growing it indoors, and then I might do my special project Green Man. So I just look for areas, say a woodland which has got poison ivy and no one uses it, or a section yet tucked away, and then just plant it there. It's like yesterday, sort of like a roundabout. The plant's virtually dead, and then there's I'm not really going. It's uncared, like a bush in a tree shoved in a bush. So I might shove that in there. It might make it quite more attractive. But you don't want to draw too much attention. It's just, like I say, increasing the biodiversity. There's plenty of plants that could get you totally whacked that are already in the UK. just have to process. It comes back to most medicine plants can also be poisons, and so things like poison ivy, rhododendrons and stuff like that, they've all got qualities, and especially if they've got neurotoxins in them. Even chocolates has neurotoxins. That's why people, when they want to try to feel better about themselves or change their emotions, sometimes have a craving for chocolates. Well, they might have a craving for chocolate anyway. It's the caffeine, and then you've also got, like I say, you've got some other qualities in it. There's probably likely a chocolate out there that's some cocoa or something hasn't been really looked into. There's probably got some other psychedelic qualities. You can imagine that a chocolate that can, sort of make you give you lovely dreams and stuff. You have to excuse my car. It's been a bit temperamental. It's not that I'm completely crap my gears. It's just it just keeps on going a bit loony. So yeah, grow it. It looks like it's got some lovely flowers. It grow pretty crazy. I was thinking about having trellis inside my property. So my flat's like hidden away. So in the bathroom, I'd like the creepers would come all over the top of the bathroom, or even the bed. That'd be just mad as well. I'll have to rig up like crisscross the sort of washing lines across the flat, and then let the creepers do the business. So. Yeah, so that's a part of what I'm doing at the moment. Is my place is wrecked because I'm just readjusting it all, and I think it's these new ages we're going through. They said we've been in Aquarius for a long time, but it's interesting now. I'm more into plants, became very more spiritual. I love gaming and doing games, but I seem to be less interested in that. I've got a PS3 I haven't touched for, I haven't done much for it for a year. I'm going to have to sit down and say, like, you've got to play a game now. But I might just, if I change the layout of my property and then I'll just make it more adaptable so I can game better, and then I've got all, like I say, these plants growing around. I've got a little greenhouse up in my flat as well. It's pretty bizarre. It seems like to get seed trays seems really, really hard, and might be the time of the year. Maybe I've come looking for them. I'm going into shops like B&M or other shops as well. It's not just anything really. So I went around to about three shops, and it's just claimed it's got a garden centre at the back of it. So you think, oh, a garden centre. That would mean it should have a bit of everything, really, shouldn't it? It says and garden centre. Oh, it's got seeds and ginormous pots. Big garden pots. So it's not really so great. I think I saw a fish bowl. I'll come back to something else really good. I'll talk about something. So there's the Hawaiian one. So they got some strong effects. Grow them, they bush out and go out. Same for like the cat thing. It'd be like turn into a bloody hedge if you don't sort of control it, obviously. I think I'd have to figure out. Basically, I need to figure out what size does a plant have to be before it wants to bear seeds. So if you've got something like a vine, now that vine wants space. So I might just take it somewhere where it's, like I say, it's a dead environment, and reintroduce something that's completely new. You've got to do a little bit of evaluation. I mean, you're obviously not going to want to harm wildlife. I don't think there's any problem with that. I mean, you just keep an eye on your plant basically, and then see what happens. I mean, birds and things are quite intelligent. They usually figure out if they taste something and they think it's just something's odd about it, they leave it alone. Otherwise you'd have things dead all the time that are born of just like birds eating poisonous berries and things. But you don't. So it's nature's quite intelligent like that. Initially, if you bring something in, you can cause some issues. It's not like I'm bringing in a predator like a bullfrog and dropping it off in a pond, and then you come back and realise there's nothing left but the bullfrog. And the vines don't choke out the plants, they just wrap it up and with small leaves. So, I'm trying to think now. Oh yes, I've got some lotus lilies that are going to be quite interesting. Blue lotus lilies. I looked up online, I think, how do we do this? Do we need a pond? You know, what sort of big tub of water or anything like that? You don't really. You just need all the plants submerged is fine. All you need to do is have you put some earth in a pot, a layer of sand. You might want to try to start germinating your lilies, depending on what they're like. These ones I've got, most of my seeds are like microscopic. They're ridiculously small. I should be using the tweezers to put them in where I want. So all I'm going to do is just put a layer of sand and put them on the sand, likely. But once I've got it submerged, I'll slowly pop them in, or it's worth soaking them first. It might float, see? Everything's floating around. Or I just put them. It might even float out the sand. So that's a good point. I might have to consider wetting them. What I may do is have them wet, put them in a syringe that I got for casting, because I make resin casts and stuff like that sometimes, and then inject them into the sand. So once the whole thing's wet, so what I do is I put the pot with a say, so you've got a pot, soil at the bottom, sand on top, because that keeps the soil in. Put it inside a larger container with no holes at the bottom of it. Slowly fill it with water. Make sure the water's warm. And bring it up to the brim so it's just like the sand's wet. And then put the seeds in, leave them for a while, and then just slowly increase the water. Yeah, and then that's probably it really. So once they've got established, it'll be fine. And it'll be really awesome actually, because what will happen is you can grow it in a narrow one. The only issue, because they're so small, the seeds, you get 20 small seeds, and you think, well, hopefully, how many's going to germinate, and how big will the plant grow from these microscopic seeds? It'd probably be a pad per seed, I'd imagine. Maybe it might grow a lot bigger than that. And they branch out as well, the lilies. So if it's in a pot, they just pop out at the top, and they don't need to be submerged, because it grows along with the actual plants in boggy soil, or it's in basically submerged. Because it needs a lot of water, or does it just die? And then 6 months' time, they should have a nice little flower pop up, and it's got lovely fragrance to it, and you could basically make a tea out of it, or whatever, put different things, put it in red wine. It'd be quite interesting. I might put it in ormus. I've got my ormus seeds. This is one of the things I might be doing, is powdering up things and add them to the ormus, and then really it's kind of finding this middle ground where has a mild effect, or it's basically use it any time. That's what you want. You just want to sort of change the mood without sort of changing too much what's going on with the person. So that's going to be quite an interesting experiment. And some things that have been driving me on with some experiments is I was looking at some artwork, and I think it was a YouTube video called Zappy Zappelin, and basically he had covered about the secret technology, shamanic plants, all this sort of stuff. But he touched upon some of the artwork as well. So you've got like Jesus Christ with a magic mushroom. But this stuff is also elsewhere. You find it in like, you know, Buddha and lotus flower. So you just look at the artwork. The artwork's telling you more to it, because there is like different. There's a white lotus that has effects as well. So I may look at different lotus plants, and once I've successfully grown the blue lotus, I might look at some different coloured ones. Yeah, and there's also like Shiva. There was she was on a red lily, and she had 2 in her hand. So it's like telling you the ingredients. You need two of the actual flowers to get to nirvana, sort of. So look at some of the artography. Probably that's what it is. The arts, the meaning of the art. And you know, also I was wondering, like, what things were Muhammad into? Did he chew like cat? So I'm sure he'd take something, like a herbal tea or something. I mean, the guy wasn't. Most people would do something. They just don't want to have things. Like, I mean, he was about anti-alcohol, but I don't think he had an issue with smoking. And I guess the context of not changing the mind. But when you take a trip or you do something like that kind of stuff, the idea is that you want to return back to where you was, gaining some experience. You don't want to sort of, not trying to change yourself permanently. But some drugs do affect the system for quite a while. That's why you want to load dose, to figure out, you know, it might take a month to get your system. You might just feel a little different in yourself. And you feel the plant, also the plant might become a part of you. I've seen these like fairy type things that are like creatures that are plants in my mind. So I believe they exist at some plane of reality. I think if you think it, therefore they are. That's that'd be an ancient proverb. Therefore you think it, therefore they are. And that's the same as you know, they do something similar phrase for when to say that you're alive. I think, for there I am. And so that's that school of philosophy. There's a lot of different things you can run off on that. But yeah, what you dream about and what you think about exists somewhere. And you know, not reality has density, so this still has a, you know, if you projected it into a one-dimensional reality. So you've got the one-dimensional, two-dimensional plane. And that's where your dreams may go. Sometimes you wake up and you feel like you've been in darkness, and you've probably been in a one-dimensional reality. And there's other times when you're in a higher density reality and you feel like you've been flying over a canyon and stuff. So that's different stuff. Blimey. It's so busy. Car's misbehaving now. So that covers some of the dreamscape stuff. So yeah, these entities, but they don't like, well, they don't dislike humans. I think humans are a bit like ogres. That's like we're the giants and then the ogres, so we tend to cause a lot of trouble. And there's also other things where people are being persecuted for engaging. They don't want that blood on their hands, which is a shame. You know, this is what happens when history gets screwed up. When somebody says, you know what, we're going to have a male system in place, we're going to kill all the women, we're going to call them witches, and we're going to kill them in masses because they obviously know too much information. But once we've extracted all the information, we're going to have it all for ourselves, and that's the same shit that's going on all over the time. Like the stuff in Syria, I mean, it's been blowing up ancient places, because the knowledge it basically presents and questions history, and if you don't own history, then how can you control people? They can question things and say, you know what, I didn't come out of Africa, I come out of Syria, or I'm not a flipping monkey or ape or something. Jesus Christ, it's so difficult. There's a bloody sun that's trying to punish me. Rah, what did I do? So yeah, so I think I've covered my plants. I'm just thinking of anything else. There's some other stuff I might be looking at as well as cards. Significance of cards. But that's along this subject. So, avoiding not crashing the car, I'll speak to you soon.